Again, collective, it's Rana, becoming enlightened together. So this is the third rune pull that I've done for today. And then later on, possibly tomorrow, I'll go ahead and do one for the entire following week, Memorial Week. Okay. So, and happy Memorial Day, especially to those who had veterans or they themselves were veterans. Okay. Let's say Semper Fi, always faithful. Now, I'm entitling this particular poll to the karmics who had it all, lose everything. And in retrospect, those who had nothing are about to have everything poured upon them. Okay, that's a little bit of a long title, but you get the gist. It's centering more along the karmic side, how they're about to lose everything, and some of them already have. So let's go ahead and get right up into it. For overall energy that concludes this week, it's at Ewas. And Ewas, again, is about teamwork, harmony, trust, and loyalty, moving forward together as a team to get from point A to point B. But it also could talk about, instead of just physical movement, it could be movement in terms of your spiritual and psychological, endeavors and so on. Working together with your higher self, or working together with your spirit team, things of that nature. To become better, overall, more balanced human beings and spiritual beings. Okay, so I'm not going to beat that dead horse because I've already talked about it now 3 times. So that's Ewas. That's overall energy for the week. Now the present energy is that of Manas. Now we've had Manas. It's a different room. I have 3 sets in each bag, so I pulled Manas twice, and Manas this time is in the reverse. Now, although it usually talks about our working with and our interactions with other human beings, so to speak, in the reverse it talks about somebody who's extremely selfish, somebody who's uninvolved, somebody who is trying to ride the victim bandwagon, so to speak. Woe is me, I was the victim here, when they may have been the actual, perpetrator, the very one who was the mastermind behind it all. Now that they're being revealed, they want to point the finger. So egoism is a big part of this too. Sometimes we're dealing with those who are very much in their narcissistic side. And I know, I had some friends who really frown upon that word, but it's a genuine, mindset or a psychological state. When somebody only thinks about their own wants, needs, and desires at the expense of anybody else and everybody else for that matter, without even concern from an empathetic standpoint of how it's going to affect anybody else, that is a narcissistic, frame of mind. And there are people who are embodying that, hook, line, and sinker. This is also somebody right now who's currently very depressed, very lonely, seeing their own sense of mortality. Thought they were bulletproof, so to speak, invincible. They're realizing they are not. Okay, somebody who's very blind, delusional, but they're also very cunning, sly, manipulative, crafty, and calculated. Those people can expect absolutely no help now. As we saw in the previous reading, those within the collective are guaranteed to have the help and cooperation from whatever sources that are available to them that are definitely on the way to provide that help and support. Okay? So that is the present energy, and again, not for the collective. This is the energy we're talking about for those who have been giving you the evil eye and wanting your downfall and everything else. Those who are your greatest fans secretly, who, although they slander you to others, want to be you. They want to emulate you. Instead of being who they themselves were meant to be, they're trying to embody your energy, and it's going to fail miserably because they're not you. Okay? Just like if you were trying to embody who they are, if you were emulating them in some way. You're not them. Okay? So just be content with who you are meant to be and be the best version of them. Let's see. Now, the obstacles and the challenges, we also had this same rune in the last reading, only a different rune, and this time it's in the reverse. Nauthis. Now, Nauthis in the reverse talks about somebody who's going in the wrong direction. Somebody who is very possessive in nature. Somebody who is basically either providing or being put in an inappropriate constraint of their freedom. Somebody who's in distress, somebody who is laboring and toiling and is feeling a sense of drudgery, somebody whose needs are not being met, and that means both physically as well as psychologically. So they are basically in want, deprivation, starvation, uh, poverty, and again, an emotional hunger. So this is basically what is going on with the karmics in our life, or those who are secretly our haters, but also our biggest fans. Now, for the help and advice, we have the goddess Freya's rune, but it is in the reverse. So Fehu in the reverse. And that talks about somebody who is basically greedy, who is, basically experiencing a great deal of disappointments right now. They are losing both money and property. They're also losing their self-esteem, or something, in like manner that they have worked very, very hard to hold on to. So they're suffering from failures, burnout, atrophy. They are in a state of discord. They are not getting along with those around them, snapping at other people. They have acted as cowards. And remember now, the universe favors the bold, okay? Those who stand up, who don't give up, regardless of their physical stature or abilities, or whatever the case may be. You can be one of the toughest motherfuckers there is, basically, and still look like nothing on the outside. Remember, don't judge a book by its cover. And I've seen that, and I've experienced that firsthand many, many times, where some of the biggest bullies were humbled by some of the people you would least expect, or some of the biggest, strongest people. When it came to push and shove or whatever, they showed that they didn't have any heart whatsoever underneath all that muscle and mass. So, just to show you, okay? People put on a mask all the time, and those masks are being ripped away. That's what this reading is telling us. So basically, somebody who had it all at one time is losing everything. So they're suffering from poverty and both slavery and a form of bondage. And that could be a psychological slavery and bondage, or it could be literally a physical one. Maybe somebody's been incarcerated. I had that read the other day. So somebody may be behind bars at this current state. Now, the future outcome for us, irregardless, and this could also, and I'm very happy to report this, I'm getting the energy that this could actually pertain to a few of the people out there who have been embodying this karmic energy for the longest time, who are finally actually seeing some truth, finally taking some accountability and responsibility and doing the work necessary to get themselves out of the hole that they themselves created. Now, this is the energy of Sowillo. And Sowillo is a very powerful rune. It's one that was incorporated by the Nazis in World War II, the SS, basically. That's where that logo insignia came from. Only they, you could say they inverted the actual energy of it in a sense. But it talks about the sun. They actually were embodying the black sun, more of a Saturnalian type of energy. But in the upright, like it is, it talks about clarity and vision. It talks about harmony and achievements. It talks about your goals being achieved. It talks about the life force that we get from the sun. Without the sun, we wouldn't be here, right? So it talks about health and power. It talks about all the energy necessary to make whatever positive changes you see that you need to make in your life currently. It talks about success. It talks about control between the higher self and your consciousness. And that could be, of course, your relationship with your ancestors or relationship with the Most High. It could also talk about, if your modeling is strictly spiritual with very little, connection in terms of individual spirits or whatever. No shame in my game. So whatever you embody or believe in, that's your journey. Okay. So it talks about basically that connection with that aspect that you believe in, okay? It talks about having a sense of wholeness and, again, power. It talks about the cleansing fire. So, being able to purge all that negative, the aspects of our inner self that we're dealing with, our demons, so to speak, okay? Okay, so that is basically it. It's a very, very positive rune in terms of a few of the karmics out there who finally learned their lesson. We've seen that a couple of times. Very, very few, and it's very rare, but occasionally it does come out. So I know that this is for somebody that's out there that's in that energy or has been most of their life. You do have the necessary attributes, traits, and power available to you if you really want to change. But it is not going to come easy. Just like it was, in terms of difficulties for the collective. They had to go through hardship after hardship after hardship, test after test after test, turmoil. They've lost everything, basically at some point in their life, to get to where we are currently. So you may have to really reach down and do what you've never had to do before, where everything just came to you at the expense of everybody around you, whether you've taken it through foul means or you've used your dark magic or whatever, and were allowed a period of time to get away with that in the hopes that you would find it within yourself to change. Again, for a handful of you that are, thumbs up to you, kudos to you. I know it's very difficult. We've all had to make that transition and decision in our lives at some point. So I know it's not easy to do. And it's going to remain difficult for some time to come. So I don't want to candy coat it. I don't want to sell you any false hope or illusions. But you can get through it. And every step that you succeed in makes you much stronger, so that you can overcome anything that this world throws at you. Okay, and believe me, it's got no lack of, if you will, imagination in regards to that. So hunker down, be prepared, but don't give up, please. I mean, if you've made it this far and you're really starting to take this journey serious, then do what needs to be done to do this. Because if you don't do it in this lifetime, you're going to have to do it in succeeding lifetimes. And the more karma you build up, that means potentially the more lifetimes you're going to have to, endure some very extreme hardships that you're going to have to overcome because of your previous actions, before you get to a point where you will be able to start, getting to the end of that tunnel, so to speak. It's difficult to really explain, but if you've never heard that before, you can look it up. There's all kinds of information out there in this subject matter, and just feel it. Does it resonate with you? And with that being said, I hope that you remain steadfast in this journey, and that I see you at the end of this race at some point. So God bless. Take care. Stay victorious, and we'll all see each other someday, hopefully in the distant future. Mahala. Take care.